Not working?
Hi, everyone. Very, very nice to see all of you. My name is Asmik. I'm a business development manager, and I'm here today with my colleague Karen Azulai, sourcing guru. Everyone knows, I'm sure. Today we are here to present you the topic of finding the best developers in two ways: manual sourcing versus automated sourcing. Let's wait just for a couple of minutes, and while everyone is joining, I would like to just greet everyone. Maybe Karen will say a few words. I can see that a lot of people are writing in the chat box.
Yeah, great. Beautiful.
Very nice to meet all of you. Feel free to express yourself in the chat. We will try to answer your questions right after the webinar and address all of them. I'm not sure we will have enough time, but if we miss some of the questions, we will get back with answers. Does it sound good, Karen?
Yes, absolutely. And guys, write to us where you're from.
Yeah, that is very interesting always, because as I've seen, we have people joining from all over the world. Oh, a lot of Poland.
Yes.
Poland is attacking us.
As well. Yeah, great. Good. So while everybody else is joining, so just, for those people who don't know me, or maybe let me start another way. I want to thank you, Asmik, for joining me on this webinar. I did choose Amazing Hiring to join me on this webinar because I really wanted to talk about sourcing for great developers, and I think you have great, cool new features. But I'm not going to talk only about Amazing Hiring. We're also going to talk about other tools because this is an educational webinar. So I want people to learn, about all kinds of stuff. So I'll start talking about some stuff about manual sourcing, and then you will show some really cool features that I love. And I don't even know how to use them that well like you do. So you're going to be showing that. So everybody, hi to those of you who don't know me. Well, I'm a global sourcer. That's what I've been doing for the past 7 years. And basically, I'm a little bit different from other people who are doing, oh, look, that's the whole world out there. Wow, really impressive. So basically, I'm a little bit different from other sourcers in the market because I'm an information professional in my background, means that I do not come from the recruiting world. And what motivates me is the search. And that is why I'm really into anything that's any sourcing tools or anything that can make my search more effective, I would say, okay? So basically, that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years, and I'm 7 years, and for the past 2, I've also been doing some HR tech, because I see sourcing becoming one with HR tech applications, and maybe I'll talk about it later just a little bit. So a few housekeeping comments. Some of you are probably very advanced, some of you are beginners. I hope to have a little bit of everything for everyone. Please don't forget, I have only about 20-something minutes to speak because I want Asmik to also show you some great features for how to find really nice, really great developers. So I am really going to try to be focused on 2 topics. And one of them is, first of all, how can we do this quicker, okay? Because some of you are end-to-end recruiters, and some of you are HR recruiters, and you don't have all day to do sourcing. So I'm going to show you how it is to do the manual one, share with you the processes, sometimes that I go through. Oh, great, now you're, that's the, great. And give you a few tips here and there, on how I work, so show you a few tools, and then we'll move on to Asmik, who will show how she can do this in 1 click. Basically, right? One click. Everybody knows that I'm a serious advocate of sourcing tools, any sourcing tool that can do this thing. And so I think perhaps we can start, right?
Perfect. Yes. Changing the slides then.
Okay. Anything you want to add? Any comments about what I said? Okay, cool.
Just let's start this journey.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna run through it. Okay, you guys. So basically, all of you know that manual sourcing takes a long time, and the challenges we have. You know, not even talking about manual sourcing. The challenges we have today when we source, and most of you source on LinkedIn, is that there is no way to really understand what we're looking at. What is the profile we're looking at? Is this a great developer, yes or no? Unless they work in Google, Facebook, or other companies that you're very familiar with, you seriously cannot know. And I will show you an example in a minute. Other serious problems that, yeah, I mean, thank you, Asmik. What we see here is just a few examples that you can go back to that slide for a second. These are just, you know, where I copied the experience. I can tell you that one of those profiles are of a very good friend of mine who's an amazing developer, and I would not hire him from what he wrote about himself on LinkedIn. So that is a huge problem. If you can go back to the other slide, the first slide with the goals. Another goal that I have, and you probably can all identify with me, is that the way they describe themselves, the candidates or the people, potential candidates, let's call them, are not describing themselves in the same way that I'm looking for them or that we are looking for them. There is a very big gap between the keywords they're using and the keywords that we're using. And that in many times creates the problems that we can tackle deeper into the process, which I will talk to about in a second. And also the culture fit candidates. And I'm being a little bit careful about saying culture fit because that means not inclusion. So I will say finding those candidates that will commit to our company's values. That will bring in diversity, of course, and inclusion. So why is it important to find those candidates? Because we want to find those candidates that will comply with all of that, okay? Or at least try to comply with all of that at the beginning of the process while we're sourcing, and not what happens today that we find those profiles. Perhaps we talk to them, perhaps we don't even do that. We send them to the recruiters, they talk to them, then they start interviewing in the company, taking tests, and they drop off the process because there was no culture fit, or they just weren't, they don't have the right soft skills for the role. So what I'm aiming today really to do is somehow to help you understand and bring all this into your sourcing process at the beginning of your sourcing process. So the profiles you'll be looking at will be quality profiles that will probably drop less down the process, okay, the recruiting process. As I said, I will be mentioning a few tools as well. For the first time, even I haven't mentioned them in my workshops. And Asmik, you want to?
Yep.
Yeah, and you will be talking about what we've already said before. So please, can you go on with the presentation?
Sure. Yeah, let's move forward.
Yeah, great. So one of the main issues, as I said, is how do you know that that Java developer you're looking at is relevant, okay? They may say, I have Java, but there were many times that he said, oh, did I write that I have Java? No, I don't. So how do we even know that the level of Java that he has is a good level or he has a good experience, okay? So that is one of the main problems that actually Asmik and AI sourcing can do a lot for us, and we'll talk about that later a little bit. but if you can move on to my next slide. And everywhere that you have, I really made it a point not to bore you, so this is like the only slide with some research on it, but you can see that this is one of the HackerRank's research slides, that the hardest challenge is how to assess the skills before hiring. Okay, so this is really what we're going to try to do a little bit manually. Can you please move on to the next one? Thank you. So I am not going to talk about those professional skills that you're looking for, okay? The programming languages, et cetera, that in its own is a whole webinar. So let's say that you already know what kind of professional skills you need. So, but what I want to do in this webinar is to try and add a few keywords and a different outlook on your search, on your Boolean searches, either on LinkedIn or on your X-ray search from Google to LinkedIn, okay? So great developers, according to my experience, okay, I always have CEOs or hiring managers tell me, I want them to be able to mentor, to coach. They should write clean code. They should be self-learners and self-starters. Perfectionist is sometimes a problem, so, but they really need to be creative. They need to be problem solvers. I mean, today they're either not only looking at programmers who can code, they need to have an open mind, an out-of-the-box thinking, creative, innovators, okay? So this is perhaps a small list of those soft skills that we're looking for. Can you please move on to the next one? Great developers also have an excellent streak in them. A lot of them got awards. A lot of them mentioned something about excellence in their experience. A lot of them were great students and were on the dean's list. They finished their studies as cum laude. They were winners of hackathons, of competitions. They write patents. We can add all of this into our Boolean search. If up until now what you've been doing is just writing Java or Python or other keywords, this is the time to start to add those keywords, not all of them together, play around with them into your Boolean string. And so if you could please move on to the next slide. Thank you. So this is an example of how, if you look at the top, I do an X-ray search, okay? I'm looking, of course, a very simple one, looking for someone who's a developer or engineer that has Java and Kotlin, for example, and who has finished and who has an excellence streak in him. So you can see that I can find those people. If you look at the arrows, they mention that, of course, on their profiles, that they are cum laude, okay? So I want to start sourcing for those profiles first. I don't want to find a batch of Kotlin and Java developers and, move on to send them emails. No, I would be wasting my time. This is how I see it, okay? What I do is I prefer to find those profiles. Can you please move on to the next one? Can you please, thank you. I want to find those profiles that have all of this together in them and speak with them or engage with them first. So my ultimate Boolean string would be one that has the professional skills, some of the soft skills, some of the excellent streak skills, okay? Some of my company's values, okay? You can add them as well, okay? And if you insist to add some top universities, I'm saying if you insist because I think we all understand today that you don't necessarily to have university background to be really good at what you do, but there are some companies in my experience that really insist on this. So if you do so, add those into your Boolean string as well, and use those universities or whatever that it's well known that great developers were born there. Well, not born, but studied there. So for me, can you please move on to the next one? So for me, really, no, back one. For me, really, it's really important for me to source for those quality profiles. Now, I know that you're going to tell me, but Karen, everybody can write whatever they want on their profiles. So I'm going to say true, and some of them probably do, but a lot of them try to be really honest. And those that are, you know, have those soft skills that I spoke about, most of them are honest about it and are like that. So I prefer to start with those profiles that have all of those things in them. And I promise you that if you do, you will have less issues with potential candidates dropping off the hiring process deeper into the process. That's like a whole waste of time. So that is one of my tips to recruit, to source for great developers. Also, if we can move on to the next one. What I wanted you to show, and as I told you, I'm a lot into the HR tech scene as well. You have a lot of tools today to really help evaluate and assess the soft skills of anyone. And I'm looking at we're all looking at a tool that's called Knack. It's not written in here. It's KNACK app. We can send it afterwards. What you do is just the minute that they apply or you engage with them, you just send them a link. They play a few games on mobile, and you immediately, well, of course, you have to say what kind of soft skills you're looking for when you build the questions when you build those, how would I say, the character you're looking for, okay? And it's seriously not expensive. Can you move to another one, to the next one? I have to mention chatbots. Guys, today, chatbots can ask all those questions, all those professional questions you need to ask them before you send them on to the second phase or to the hiring manager. The minute they apply, they can talk to AI-based chatbots. If you can move to the next one, they can ask them questions about company culture. You can ask them questions. It does so much work, and the ROI is already proven. People like to talk to chatbots, and they're doing really well with this. So why not try to incorporate just a little bit of that? It's just an idea to get a better understanding about your candidates before they move in to the process, okay? Can we move to the next one, please? So this is not going to be a presentation about GitHub, so don't worry about it. I'm going to just mention a few new things that I've learned a while ago. Not a while ago, just I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe. So what I'm going to show about GitHub, probably most of you know it, and I have to say that I've met quite a lot of sourcers who source for developers who don't even have, I mean, as sourcers, you don't even have a GitHub profile. You seriously must have one. You cannot be a sourcer who sources for tech roles and not have a GitHub profile. It takes like 2 seconds to open one. So basically what you can do, you can search inside of GitHub. We can X-ray GitHub. I will show just one slide examples of each one. We're going to be talking about Git Awards for those of you who don't know. We're going to mention Hikido, which has an amazing solution right now. And I'm going to mention Seek Out as well. If we can please move on to the next one. Thank you. So all of you probably know within GitHub, you have an advanced search, and you can seriously have conduct a great search within GitHub if you want. Moving on to the next one. Another option, as I said, is to X-ray GitHub, and you have the X-ray up here. Those of you who know how GitHub works, then I would say the programming languages and a lot of great information is within the repositories tab within GitHub. So this is why my Boolean looks like this. Site github.com. I'm telling Google, for those of you who are beginners, I'm telling Google to go and X-ray GitHub. And please go into those repositories, into the tab repositories, and find people from Israel who have Java and Kotlin, okay? So here I have 38 of them, okay? So moving on to the next option. I don't know if all of you know of Git Awards. I love it. It's a free solution. There's a French guy, I think, sitting in Paris. It was one of his projects. So basically what you can do, I don't know, I'm not sure you can see it at the top. What it says is that you can discover the ranking of GitHub users according to cities and programming languages. If we can move to the second, to the next one. So here, for example, I was searching for top Java GitHub developers in Madrid. I know there's a lot of you from Madrid here as well. So once I do that, this is the result I get. And you can see how many stars they have. I mean, I guess it's based on that. So those of you who are really advanced in GitHub, so you know, stars is what people, you know, they think that this project is really interesting and there's a lot of engagement with it. But yes, it can also serve as a bookmark. So you can tell me it's not a real indication on how good they are, but in a way it is, okay? So it is one of those features that we can use to assess. It's not 100%, but this is what we have. So you see the results, and we see that number one is PD Groves. I don't know. We don't know their names, okay? What we see are nicknames. So now we have to start looking and understanding who we're looking at. So kindly move on to the next one. So I clicked on his name, okay? And what I see is that he ranks in Java number one in Madrid out of 947 users in GitHub in Madrid. It doesn't mean he's the best Java developer in Madrid, okay? But in GitHub, okay? And we can also see his Kotlin ranking at the beginning, his Scala, and we can see also his ranking in the whole of Spain and worldwide. This guy is not so bad, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on his nickname right below his picture, and what we get is the next screen. So what we get is his page on GitHub, okay? And we can see more information about him. We see he has followers, 3,200 followers. Yeah, so, but still, if you'll move to the next one, please, to the next slide. If you're using Hikido, okay, you can use only their extension. You can get their emails as well. Sometimes you can get their emails at the bottom left of the screen. You can see where it says Madrid, and you can see a link. Many times they also have their email in there, okay? Just that was just a footnote. Can we please move on? Right. So I want to talk a little bit about Hikido. Hikido is another tool. Can we please move for another one? Somebody's asking what's the name of that tool. Which one? The Hikido. Okay, Michelle. So Hikido, what it does, it helps you to the left also have curated lists. And most tools have that today. HireTool does. AmazingHiring has an amazing job with that, and you will show us. And Hikido does as well. They enable Boolean search, super search, and similarity search. And this is only on GitHub, I want to remind you. And what it does, hello from Paris, what it does is candidate similarity search. It enables you to search with a resume that you already have. It's a very nice feature. Can we please move on to the next one? What I really like about them is that they have this new feature called talking points, okay? So after I did the search, I'm looking at a guy named Taco Scotanus. He's from Madrid, okay? Immediately what I see is here are a few things to mention in your outreach. And this is great because most of us really don't know how to look at GitHub because we're just not developers, okay? We don't understand what that means. So what they did, and that is really nice, and this is very new, they basically translated it into something that we can use when we engage with them. And this is not a webinar on how to engage with developers, but you can totally see that you can really take information out of there. One of the things that I saw in another one was that he started, one of the information that was mentioned here was that he started coding at the age of 11. Okay, so this is something that's already presented to you and of course helps a lot. If you can move to the other one. They also have insights, okay, and they can tell you what the score, their skills, their experience, very helpful as well. Moving on because we don't have a lot of time. Hello, Austria, love it. So I'm happy to say that Hikido was happy to provide you with a one-day free pass just for you to play with it a little bit. And I seriously recommend that you do, okay? Moving on. Okay, so also we have Stack Overflow. Those of you that are familiar with GitHub are probably familiar with Stack Overflow. I'm not going to talk too much about that. Just, you know, for those of you who don't know, this
I think we lost Karen.
Did you lose me?
Yes, we did.
Hello?
For a second, we did.
Karen?
Karen? Guys, let's wait while Karen is logging back to the system. Probably there are some internet issues. While we're doing that, can you please share some of the features that you liked, some of the things that you will try out?
I'm back.
Okay, great. We have Karen back.
Internet.
And you can also...
You know how it is. So I'm going to really I'm going to run through. I'm not going to talk a lot about Stack Overflow, just for you guys that want a Boolean search. So this is it. Yeah, you can move on. So just, you know, how tiring, you know, sourcing sometimes can get, even though I love it. Even in Stack Overflow, what you see is his nickname. You don't have his name. So now we have to start looking for his name. So we can either look to the right, we have his website there, or see to the right, or next slide, we have to, you know, add his nickname to another website like this one, Name Checker, and see, perhaps we can find his LinkedIn, his Facebook, or whatever. You can move on to the next one. Which one was that? Oh, that one I found from when I looked into his website. Okay, but it's a lot of work. It's click on this, click on that, click on his picture. Maybe I can find more information that way. Google him. It's a lot of work. Next one. Not to mention all the other sources that we have to look at when we source. We can source conferences. Those who deliver talks are great developers sometimes. Some of them have great blogs. Some of them are all over the internet in I don't know, in about 100 websites. You know, they ask great questions on Quora. You can find them in so many other places. You can find them on Upwork. If you haven't used those freelance platforms, I highly recommend that you do start looking at them. Upwork and I forget the other one, Guru. Really great that way, because some of them are working, some of them have day jobs and also do some freelancing, so you can attract them there as well. If you haven't done that up until now, I highly recommend that you do. And sites like AngelList and F6S.com are two sites that are basically like job boards for just for startups, and there are developers there as well. What I'm really trying to show you how much work this is, okay? I have the time to do this many times, but if you have 1 or 2 hours a day, you can't do all this, okay? So you need to find a shortcut. And the shortcut, I think, is what Asmik is going to show with their AI sourcing, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. It was really very impressive, Karen. Thank you for telling us all those tricks and interesting sources that we can use. While I'm sharing my screen, in a second, I will open up AmazingHiring and show you how you can find candidates faster using it. Basically, aggregating all those values that we describe, how you can find the best candidates. And this is the challenge that we talked through today, that it's very important to find people that fit the best and that really the best developers, and AmazingHiring could also help you do that, and also help you find relevant candidates. And let me just quickly go through some of the points, and then I will share my screen with you and show you how actually you can do that using AmazingHiring. So the way that you can find candidates faster is basically by aggregating all that information from the resources mentioned by Karen and many, many others, 50 plus resources in general, like LinkedIn, LinkedIn that everyone uses. And if you want to have the competitive advantage, you need to use others like GitHub, Stack Overflow, Kaggle for machine learning experts, Facebook, even Instagram, and personal websites of candidates. And that's all inside our system. So there's no need to create this enormous booleans, no need to go from one source to another one to do all that. It's already in our system. I won't be very salesy. I don't want to really pitch AmazingHiring. Yeah. I want you to understand that you can have a lot of value, and check it out by having like a lot of information in one place, easily navigating from one resource to another, having all that great features like synonymize, Boolean logic. AmazingHiring was basically created by recruiters and sources like you. One day they realized that this is really too much for them to handle. Too many sources, too many hacks, too many ways how you can go about this. So they decided to just create a tool that can help them and many other recruiters all over the world. And of course, we also have those achievements mentioned by Karen in some other resources too. So like Git Awards and like Hikido, we try to assess candidates' activity, and not just in GitHub, but also Stack Overflow, also Kaggle, which is a open source resource for machine learning experts, and Google Play, which can be good with Android developers. I know that Android developers is a very tricky position to work on. There are not a lot of them. They're very hard to communicate with. So knowing that this specific candidate had an application that was on top in Google Play rating, it's always a good thing. And of course, the relevance of candidates. of course, we as people, we look through the profile and we catch some keywords, we catch some context and understand if this candidate is relevant or not. But sometimes we have like thousands of profiles to look through, and being careful and being really very analytic about it, it can be tricky, and it takes a lot of time, as Karen has mentioned. So this is where AI can help us trying to figure out what types of profiles are more relevant than others. And we have a new feature that I really would love to show you. Let me stop sharing the presentation and go to the system. And in the second, you will also, 1 second.
I'm just reiterating that this is not a demo on AmazingHiring. This is just Asmik really showing you those special features that can really shorten the process and make it so much more exact.
1 second, I think I had some issues with my internet connection.
That's fine. We always do everywhere. It's actually really embarrassing when, you know, when I talk about advanced technologies and everything, and then there's an electrical, you know, shortcut, and then nothing works. So how can I add?
I think you might have lost me.
Refresh,
guys,
mine doesn't either right now. Okay.
Are you with me? So while we're trying to fix that, I would like to have just a quick chat with everyone. Could you please let us know what is the tool that you liked? What is the thing that you, maybe the problem that you feel like you face every day? So let's communicate, and I hopefully will be back with sharing my screen.
Can you give an example of how a chatbot has saved you time and money, and why you decided to employ? So okay, so I'm going to talk about it. So since I'm independent, I have not used it, but I have people I know that are using it. And I can tell you one thing, that when I was speaking in Brno in the Czech Republic a year ago, I was told, are we back? Are we back?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
but go on.
I'll just finish, Mike, I'll just finish the sentence. They were all sitting on the stage with me saying there's no way chatbots are going to be doing a good job. And I have a message from one of them who said, I was very skeptic. I was one of the ones opposing you. But 5 months after, I have 3 chatbots. If you want, I can connect the 2 of you.
Sounds like a good story. Yeah, if you have ones to share, that will be great. Guys, can you see the screen, by the way?
I can.
Great. Then I would really like to show you, on top of everything that we discussed, how AI can be beneficial for you as a recruiter nowadays. The first thing that I want to show, and some of you are familiar with the search form in AmazingHiring. Let me just quickly pull you a pool of candidates that have mentioned Java as a skill, and let's say in some location like Czech Republic. So this is the first search that I want to show you, how many people there are actually mentioning a specific skill in a specific location. There are almost 10,500 candidates with contact details that mention Java in Czech Republic in one of their profiles as a skill, and 24,000 of them in total. And as I'm sure you understand that not even half of those profiles is actually relevant for a Java developer role. Java developers can know Java, full stack developers, even front-end developers, web developers, various types of candidates can have Java in their profile. And to really understand that this is their main skill, that this candidate is actually even a bit relevant for you, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of different strings that you need to run through, different steps of searches. For example, some of you might know that, for example, we can try putting a Java in the title, or for example, even the current title of a developer. But then we don't have the full list of candidates, because some people don't actually mention Java in their current title. They might be just a software developer, but Java is actually their main skill. So this is a challenge that I see see recruiters facing every day. And we came up with AI sourcing that basically shows you every single candidate who can be potentially relevant for that type of role. And let me just quickly do that. So I type in Czech Republic. I choose Java engineers as an AI sourcing meta query, and the system gives me 2,300 candidates with contact details. This is a lot less than we had. This is a number that we can work with. And these are candidates who actually either mention Java in their current title, or let's say as some of other candidates, like for example Petr, he did not mention Java in his current title, but we do know for sure that he has a golden star in Java from Stack Overflow. So this is another thing that AmazingHiring does, just by assessing information not just from GitHub, but also Stack Overflow and Kaggle and Google Play. So we know that this candidate is relevant for you just because we see his profile on Stack Overflow. And the profile, by the way, is right here. So all the profiles are also aggregated in his accumulated portfolio in AmazingHiring. So basically you can go to his Stack Overflow page and check out, but if you're having a hard time understanding what's going on here, I really recommend learning more about this open source communities. But for some recruiters it could be challenging, so let me open up his full profile and just take a look at what it has to offer. And once again we see this list of skills, the whole set of skills that come from various resources. And just by clicking on the skill, I can see where it actually was mentioned. Some candidates mentioned Java on 5 resources, and other skills are only mentioned in 1 resource, like Stack Overflow. By the way, this means that I wouldn't be able to find Petr from in LinkedIn, because he didn't mention WebDriver in his LinkedIn profile. It was only mentioned in Stack Overflow. But that's not something I want to tell. I want to say that it's really important to have the understanding if this is a candidate whose achievements are you can find in the open source community. And in this case, I can see a lot of golden stars, golden coins, bronze coins, silver coins, that just show me that this is someone who is among top 10%, top 1% of developers based on a specific skill. In this case, for example, he is among top 1% of Java developers on Stack Overflow because he's authored many answers to Java-related questions, highly rated by our developers. And I totally agree with Karen. This is a talking point. This is a point that you can use in your reach out, in your pre-assessment process, and you can be sure that this candidate won't be lost inside your hiring process, because highly potentially he's more relevant to you. And I would just, my main point here is that you can let the algorithm, a very advanced algorithm, analyze profiles for you, and you spend time evaluating candidates who are actually at least partly relevant for your job opening. And this way you will save a lot of time. This way your approach will be much more personalized, and everyone will benefit. The candidates will also benefit because they get tens of emails, the best ones, the ones that are on the first pages get tens of emails per day, and they don't want irrelevant candidates, irrelevant recruiters reaching out to them. They want to be respected. What do you think, Karen? Should I go on? Is there anything
I really want you just to show them the social profiles, what you showed me. That's new as well.
Yeah, sure. Let me do that. So there are tons of different filters in the system that help you create a search that is more relevant to you. And the one that can be frequently used is the social profiles and CVs. For example, right now I see that most candidates have LinkedIn profiles, GitHub accounts, Stack Overflow pages, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. And let's say I want my candidate to have a profile in GitHub. I just check this box, and I see people who have at least a GitHub page, active and inactive, but there is one that we matched with his account. We can also click on Stack Overflow, and this way we will see people who have both GitHub and Stack Overflow profiles. These are candidates who for sure are active in the open source community. And there's also a consolidated rating. This is a thing that, well, there are different sortings, the way how you can see candidates in your search output. And there are actually sortings by GitHub commits and Stack Overflow answers. So I just click on GitHub commit sorting, and I see candidates in an order where people in the first page are candidates who are actually have more GitHub commits than others. And this is another way how I can focus my efforts on people who are more suitable for me. If, of course, open source activity is a part of your job description, or maybe a cultural fit. And I think saving time is a struggle for everyone. And it can be very irritating, especially using, for example, Boolean strings when you go through profiles of the same people who you already previously have viewed. So being able to hide those profiles is also a benefit, a small one, but still it adds some pleasure to your work. You're less irritated, more willing to communicate with new people. So this way I can hide the profiles that I've already seen and focus my efforts on people who are less viewed by me. Well, besides being able to find all those links, and it's important just to understand the context of who you are approaching. It doesn't take a long time to just click on the Facebook profile and open candidate's account there and see, is he socially active? Or click on the Twitter page and see if he likes to share his opinion with the world. It just gives you a more fulfilling and a more full understanding of the candidate's profile, not just the technical profile and not just the stuff that he or she mentions in the resume, but stuff that actually matters more than we think now, stuff like candidates' culture fit. And it's very easy to go from one source to another. Let's say using AmazingHiring, you just click on GitHub, and the system also, like, we have a plugin that pulls information about this candidate on the left side. So there is no need for you to create this searches and find candidates by their name or nickname. You just go from GitHub to Facebook or LinkedIn and learn more about a candidate just by one click. And this is, by the way, a free tool. So I highly encourage everyone just checking it out. I'm not selling anything. I'm just trying to really share that information with you because I'm also sourcing, and I found a lot of value using this tool, and I want you to do that too. So in the free mode, you will get the access to these links. So the LinkedIn profile, Facebook, GitHub, Stack Overflow, it will all be available to you. No need to commit to anything. So get that value if some tool provides it for you. Why shouldn't you get it? What do you think?
I have to say, absolutely. But Solo from Israel is bringing up a question that's really not only about AmazingHiring, but also has to do with HireTool and all the other advanced sourcing tools. It seems like there's an issue sometimes where the profiles are not fresh, and if somebody changed their job in the past 2 weeks or even months, sometimes the results are not in your database as of yet. Can you please address that?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Let me go back to the system. So I'm not sure that I can stop sharing my screen. For some reason, it's not showing. But I would like to address that question, and thank you very much for bringing that up because it's very important. I think as a recruiter, it's important to understand the design and the architecture of the tools that you're using. And in the case of AmazingHiring and many other tools like that, it works as a search engine. So let's imagine Google for a minute. What it does is it is also a search engine, and it indexes various resources just by downloading data from publicly available resources and storing it and then refreshing it once in a while. And there's also like a commitment to the period of refreshment, but it's not the data that you access live. It's data that that has been downloaded and refreshed in the period of time. It works the same for tools like AmazingHiring. We go through profiles of developers in GitHub, Stack Overflow, Facebook. We download them, we match, and we only download the publicly available part of the information. We're only able to access the publicly available profile. So we match that together into a single profile, and then once per 3 to 4 weeks we come back and re-index that data. And during that period, the candidate might change their work experience. So they can go back to their LinkedIn profile and realize that they have been working in a company for, let's say, a year and haven't changed their work experience there. So they do that, and for some users it might appear that the profile in AmazingHiring wasn't refreshed, but actually we didn't get a chance. We didn't have those 3 weeks to come back to that profile and download it again. So this is the architecture of these systems. They give you a lot of value, but we need to understand that there are just some limits of the design of the system. It's not possible to download millions of profiles at the same time. It gives you a great value. It comes with some struggles that we're working on, but we always commit to 3 to 4 period of 3 to 4 week period of re-indexing our data. I hope I described it so it's easy to understand.
Yeah, I want to really perhaps explain again. I mean, I did show you how long it takes to do it manually. You don't have to pay to any sourcing tool if you don't want to, okay? Nobody's making you do that, and I've shown you that you can do it free, okay? But it will take so much longer. And those sourcing tools are still not 100%, but they still, in one click, I can see so much more information than I can while I source on my own. And I think I've shown that to you. I think Asmik disappeared. With regard to GDRP, so there, each tool has their own. Can you hear me, or I'm off as well? Or am I speaking to myself? Okay. Okay, so GDPR, I went on, Asmik, sorry. GDPR, so each advanced tool that I'm using, it has their own, personal approach.
Yeah, I think we lost Karen, did we? What Karen was saying is that different tools have different approaches to GDPR, and in our case, for example, we have a whole page on our website dedicated to explanation of our approach. We only index publicly available data. For candidates, it's always they're always available to access their data and to delete it if they require that and if they want to. And once again, the data is publicly available. You, as a recruiter, have the right to access that data because you have that interest of hiring a candidate. So overall, there are different tools. Each tool's approach is slightly different. In our case, we feel like that being able to provide that information to you, information that is available to any unlogged in user to any of those websites, is highly appropriate and relevant and also compliant with GDPR. Guys, so I think Karen is gone, but no worries. She will be back soon.
I'm here. I was lost in cyberspace, sorry.
That's totally okay.
So did you discuss GDPR?
Yeah, well, I explained a bit our approach on GDPR, and also you wanted to mention something about other tools, right?
Yeah, other tools have other approaches. I know HireTool is very strict about, overly strict perhaps, but what they do is they don't show you the name, they don't show you their details, they don't show you anything, just their experience. And if you want to contact them, then the system sends an email to that person and says that I want to contact them. Is that okay, yes or no? I tend to go more with what Amazing Hiring has, because this is public information, and Amazing Hiring does say where they got it from. So, you know, if that person doesn't like it, they can just go take it off wherever it was and get off their lists.
Yeah, I totally agree. Every single email, every single skill, every single search result comes with a reference to the original source of data. And you as a recruiter always know why this turned out to be in our system. I think...
Yeah, wow. Illegal to Google candidates. Wow. What country is that? I've never heard of that yet, I have to say. How can anyone even... Rita, are you where from? Finland, perhaps? Or, I don't know, Ukraine? I've never heard of not Finland. Wow, amazing. No, I've not heard of that. I've not heard of that. Sorry, I cannot comment. Any questions anybody has as well beyond that? Okay, anyways, if you can't think of questions now, you know where to find me, you know where to find Asmik. Really, the point of this webinar was to show you that there are different, you know, we're in a very special time in our industry where we can do things manually, we can have automation. It's up to you to decide what it is that you want. And yeah, and I hope you got some tips from me as well. And they will be getting a replay of this, right, if they want to?
Yes, everyone will get a replay, and you can always ask us questions, and I'm here to help you. Nita asked a great question, so you can get an access to Amazing Hiring by requesting a demo in our system, and there will be a promo code field in that demo request where you can put in manual versus automation, so manual vs auto, and this way you will get an access to 2-week trial of Amazing Hiring, and this is for everyone who hasn't tested the system in the last 3 months. So feel free to use this promo code and to request a demo. In a couple of seconds, I will send you a link that leads you to the demo request page. So once again, I'm always here to answer all your questions, to have a live demo of our system if you want to, but the whole intent of this webinar was for you to see how many alternatives you have as a recruiter. You're always able to go with different tools, to go with different techniques, to do manual sourcing, and there's always our option too. You can try out Amazing Hiring if you feel like having faster access to candidates, seeing the best people, being able to see the most relevant candidates is something that you'd like to go with. Karen, is there anything you'd like to say?
I had a great time. I'm starting to love these webinars. So
me too.
More of them. And everybody is, I'm inviting everybody to connect with me, so that way I can totally let you know when we have new webinars on different topics. Some of you were interested about the chatbots as well, but sourcing also, there's a lot more to talk about, of course. So that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a great pleasure to be with you. And thank you, Asmik, for hosting me.
Thank you, too. Thank you very much. Wish you a great end of the week. For some of you in Israel, for example, it's the last day. Oh, it's Wednesday.
No. Yeah.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there's no time and space in our webinar.
True, exactly
that doesn't matter.
Next week I'm in Estonia and Germany. I'm speaking in Germany and training in Estonia. So if you're looking for me, I'm in your continent.
Wow, amazing, Karen.
Okay.
We'll be in SourceCon in Amsterdam, so guys from Netherlands, watch out for us.
When is that? When is SourceCon?
I think it's 21st of May.
Okay, and I'm going to be speaking in SOSU, which is the Sourcing Summit in Munich in, I think, 5 and 6 of April, or 3 or 4 of April. Yeah.
So it's a very busy spring for everyone.
Yeah, sourcing is a lot of fun. Okay, guys. Thank you again, and bye-bye. Ciao.